Hey there, it's Liz from No Trace, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a super simple and super cute zippered pouch. This little pouch is perfect for pencils or your travel toiletries or makeup, and it's super easy to make. So let's go. For this zipper pouch tutorial, you just need a few basic things. You're going to need 4 pieces of fabric that measure 8.5 inches across and 5.5 inches from top to bottom. And 2 of these are going to be the outside of your zipper pouch, and 2 are going to be the inside of your zipper pouch. I'm using a lightweight organic cotton canvas, but you can use just regular lighter weight quilting poplin cotton. You don't need to have canvas, but the canvas will make it just a little bit more sturdy. Okay, in addition to your fabric, you need a 7-inch zipper, and I like to use 100% cotton zippers and metal teeth because there's no plastic waste that's going to happen from this project. Coordinating thread, and then some clips. I just use regular binder clips, but you might want to buy special sewing clips, whatever you have. You can also just use pins, but it's a lot easier to make a zipper pouch if you have clips. And then finally, you're going to need an iron and a spot to iron, like either your ironing board or a thick towel folded over. The first step to making your zipper pouch is to clip on one piece of your outer layer to one side of your zipper. And you want to make sure that the right side of your outer layer is touching the top or the right side of your zipper, and just line it up along the edge and go ahead and clip it in place. And next, you're going to take a piece of the inner layer of fabric and you're going to put that right on top of what you just clipped together so that the right side of your inner fabric is facing the right side of your outer fabric, and it's facing the back side of your zipper. And now we're just going to add it to the clipping that we just did. And you want to make sure that the edge of the zipper is lined up neatly with the edge of your fabric. And then we're going to take this over to our sewing machine and stitch right along that edge. So now we're going to take it to the machine and put your zipper foot on your machine if you haven't already. And we're just going to stitch all along here with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And we do want to be mindful of the zipper head. So I'm going to move it down out of the way, and then I'll move it again as I get close to it. So remove your pins, your clips rather, and go ahead and get it right under that zipper foot, and you're going to go about a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. Make sure that you use backstitch at the start and stop. So now I'm going to move that zipper head up. And backstitch at the end. So next you'll take this over to the iron and press the outer layer down and away from the zipper. And you'll also press the inner layer down and away from the zipper. And that way your zipper won't get caught on the fabric when you're opening and closing it. Now that I've finished ironing this fabric so that it's pressed away from the zipper, I'm going to just top stitch right along this line of fabric to really hold it in place away from the zipper. So now that I've top stitched the fabric, I'm going to go ahead and clip the other two pieces of fabric onto the other side of the zipper. So now we just repeat the process of pinning the fabric to this side of the zipper. So I'm going to start with my outside layer being pinned onto the top side of the zipper. I'm flipping it over to make it a little easier to line up the zipper. And then again, go ahead and use your clips, binder clips or Wonder clips. I think Wonder clips are made out of plastic and these are all metal, which is nice. Okay, so now that the outer layer is clipped, we're going to pin the next inner layer or clip the next inner layer. Again, the right side of this piece is going to face the back of the zipper, and now it's also facing the right side of the original or the first inner layer that you sewed. And you're just going to add it into your clips so that the fabric sandwiches that zipper neatly right along the edge. And then we're ready to sew this side. So now we're going to go ahead and stitch down this side with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to take out the first clip. And I'm going to do a back stitch at the start and at the stop. And just go straight down, pulling out the clips as I get close to them. Now I'm getting close to the zipper head, so I'm going to go ahead and needles down, lift the presser foot, and pull that zipper head out of the way. Presser foot back down, and then sew up this last section. And I did a little back stitch at the end there. Okay. All right, so I've stitched all along there. And now I'm going to take this over to the iron, just like I did on the other side. And I'm going to press down the fabric away from the zipper to make it zipper easier to open. So I've gone ahead and ironed the fabric on both sides so that it's pressed away from the zipper, and now I'm going to top stitch it. And you want to make sure as you're sewing that both pieces of fabric, both the inner and the outer, are gently tugged away from the zipper. You wouldn't want one of these to be sort of folded over or bunched up in an odd way. Once both sides are sewn onto the zipper and top stitched, we are going to finish up our bag by clipping it around the sides. Now we're going to be placing the right sides together of the outer layer and the right sides of the inner layer, and we're going to be pinning all along, and then we're going to stitch around our zipper pouch, leaving an opening in the inner fabric, in the liner fabric, so that we can turn it right side out. Before we start clipping, you want to make sure your pouch is unzipped, at least part way. And I like to pin starting at the center where the zipper is. And I like to really try to line up the outer layer fabric and make sure that the zipper is pointing down into the lining. So line up that seam with the outer layers and then put a clip right there. And then go ahead and do that on the other side. Make sure the zipper is pointing down in towards the liner fabric, and then just line up your outer layer fabric as neatly as you can. And then go ahead and clip it right there. And now for the other part, you could use pins or clips. I have my clips out, so I'm going to go ahead and clip the rest of it just in a few spots. Same for this side. But remember that we're going to be leaving an opening down there so that we can turn this pouch right side out when we're done. So now we're going to stitch all the way around our zipper pouch. But remember, we leave an opening of about 4 or 5 inches here in the liner fabric. So I'm going to start on one side of that, and I'm going to do about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so a little bit larger than what we did when we were attaching the zipper to the fabric. And remember to back stitch at the start and the stop of your seam. And one other thing to keep in mind when you're sewing with metal zippers is that you really do have to be mindful of where the metal part of your zipper ends, because you don't want your needle to hit that. It'll bend your needle or break your needle. So a 7-inch zipper should be far enough away from your seam, but you just want to always be mindful of where that metal is. I usually go slowly when I'm sewing over my zipper, just to be sure that I'm not hitting any metal. Okay, so again, I'm going to go over the zipper portion here slowly and carefully to make sure I'm not hitting any metal. And you can even hand crank it a little just to be safe. Okay, and remember we're leaving about a 4 or 5 inch opening here. And back stitch. Okay, so once we've sewn all the way around, we just turn it inside out. and you want to poke out those corners really well. I usually keep a chopstick next to my machine to help me poke out those corners. And you even want to poke out the corners on the liner, even though it's not down in the bag yet, because that way you don't accidentally sew up any of the liner fabric in your final seam that you're going to do. So the final seam that we do is to close up this opening that we left so that we could turn it inside out. And when you poke out the corners, that way you know you're not going to accidentally catch some of this corner fabric in this final seam. So you could press that with the iron, but I'm just going to finger press there. And I'm not even going to clip it because this is such a small space. And I'm just going to sew straight across, but I'm going to back stitch at the start and the stop. And I try to get real close to the edge here, so about an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance here. So now your opening is closed. You've sewn that up. So all that's left to do is to trim off the loose threads and tuck it inside there. And your little zipper pouch will be done. Well, that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed making your own zipper pouch. I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the No Trace channel for more tutorials on eco-friendly crafting and zero waste living. Thanks so much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!